All right, my name is Sergeant Colin Gillikin, CollinGillikin, from Rockford, Michigan.
And, Sergeant Gambo, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
Sergeant Gilligan, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself first, what your unit of assignment and what your job is.
I'm a 359th Able Company Senior Line Medic. I work a lot with the infantry, mostly.
So I guess it's a good thing you were driving down that road that day then.
Yeah, definitely boosted my faith a little bit from her end to be in such bad shape and have somebody who's been in the trauma field for 6 years now. So I mean, it was just amazing to see her come out of that in a good way. So.
And what were you doing driving down that road? Because as I understand it, it's sort of that road's not traveled very often because it's not on the Davis Highway, so it's runs parallel to it, I believe.
Yes, I've been training back there a few times, and I knew of a few lakes, and I was going fishing that morning. I woke up late, about 9 o'clock, and my wife was still asleep, so I decided I'd go get some fishing before we were going to go grab some food later that day. So I grabbed my poles, grabbed my boots, and put them in the truck, and I stopped by the gas station and grabbed a 5-hour energy and looked at my phone, made sure everything was good to go for that area, made sure I could fish in that area, and yeah, so I took about 10 minutes at the gas station, which I'm kind of lucky I did that morning. So.
And so when you were coming down the road and you saw Mrs. Gamboa, what was your first thought when you saw this woman standing in the middle of the road?
Earlier that day, I had noticed there was a marathon going on, and I thought maybe it was part of it. I know they do a lot of obstacle runs sometimes on the weekend, maybe a mud run. So when I initially saw her, I thought it was mud on her body, and it just happened to be blood from a closer view.
And so did she signal to you to please slow down, or did she need help? Or, what did
no.
you do as you got closer?
When I got closer, I saw she was holding her neck, and I've seen that in runners before where they cramp up on their neck, and I thought, okay, so maybe she slowed down from the group and she was holding her neck, just she was cramping up or something. And she didn't seem to be in distress at the time, so I had imagined she was okay. So I got a little bit closer, and she was stumbling a little bit, and that's when I stopped the truck, and she just looked at me, and I said, what's going on? And she said she was attacked by a bear, and I couldn't believe she was still standing. So I was in amazement at that time.
And so what were your actions at that point? What was the next step that you took?
In the military medical field, especially with emergency trauma and working with the infantry, it's a decision: either stay and play, which means you stay with that person and you try to provide as much treatment as possible before you evac, or you make the decision to evac. I didn't notice any arterial bleeding. She was still standing and conscious and talking to me, so I decided at that time evac was the best option.
And so you personally evacuated her yourself?
Yeah, I walked around the side of the truck, and I feel kind of like a jerk at this time, but I told her hop in, and then that's when I noticed there was 3 large lacerations on her leg, and I was like, there's no way this girl's going to get up into there, and she told me she couldn't. So there was so much blood, I didn't know where to grab her, so I asked, hey, can I grab you here on the waist? And I helped her up into the truck by the waist. And then she told me that her husband was missing, and from what I gathered, that they were both attacked at the time, and that her husband was back there, and I didn't know what to do. So I got a little bit more clarification that she had been separated. So I decided, okay, well, we're going to book it out of here, and took off down the road and started calling 911.
So you were talking to an emergency operator while you were driving her to the emergency room?
Yeah, I was headed down Davis Highway. I called 911, and they kind of lost it where I was, because on base there's 2 different Davis highways. One's a little bit shorter than the other. And there's 2 landing strips on each one. So when I said at the Davis Highway and the landing strip, they were kind of confused, and they had sent out a search and rescue team to a different location than I initially told them. Yeah, I was on the phone with 911, telling them I was en route to the hospital with a female who had been attacked by a bear. Told them she was still conscious, and yeah, and they directed me to the Fort Richardson ER. I talked with them, gave them a full status update, how we would on the radio with any other battle injury, and I told them I was en route. That's about it.
So she was conscious the entire ride to the emergency room?
Yeah, I kept looking at her. I was in pure amazement that this woman was still talking and able to comprehend what I was saying. She was holding her neck, and I saw a massive amount of blood on her chest. And told her not to move her hands because I figured, if she had, she might have bled out inside the vehicle on the way to the hospital. Yeah, I kept looking at her, asking her if she was okay. And this is kind of weird because apparently, I don't remember it, but she said she kept asking me why I was out there, and she told me that I was saying for you. So I thought that was a pretty wild story. Yeah.
Did you have to do anything to the right of the emergency room? Did you have to do anything to keep her calm, or did she pretty much do that herself?
I think she was in a slight state of shock, maybe just a little bit. I'm not sure. Were you? Yeah. And I didn't want to freak her out and tell her, your injuries are pretty extensive, and I didn't want to make her any more worse off than she already was. My job is to not inflict more pain, so that's what I try to do, is just try and keep her calm, keep her in a good mindset. She was really worried about her husband, so in turn that made me really worried about her husband. So I was trying to coordinate with the police to try and find him as soon as possible.
So being a combat medic yourself, when you did your initial assessment, were her wounds severe enough at the time that you had to perform first aid yourself, or?
No, I kick myself every day for this. I took everything out of my vehicle, medical related, the weekend before because I had just got done camping, and I set it aside, and I thought, I'm just going fishing, I'll be back in an hour, there's no way anything's going to happen. And yeah, I didn't have anything to give her first aid. I literally cleaned out everything out of the truck. I didn't even have an old t-shirt back there. So yeah, there was no possible way. Maybe I could have taken my belt off for a tourniquet, but she didn't have any arterial bleeding, so I didn't see the need to do that. I thought getting her to the hospital was the best choice.
And so when you got to the hospital, were the emergency personnel already standing by waiting to receive her, or did you have to leave your truck to take her in yourself? Or
Yeah,
how did that happen?
there was nobody outside. I have an air horn on my truck, and I was hitting it pretty loud, and I actually had to go inside to the front desk to get some personnel out there. They were pretty expedient once I told them. There was just nobody outside physically waiting.
But once the medical personnel took her inside the hospital, was that, for all intents and purposes, the end of your involvement in the situation, or did they bring you inside as well?
They kept asking if I wanted to go back in and see her. I think they thought I was related to her or was a friend of her. I thought that was best for her husband to take care of that side of other than once I did the patient handoff, I talked with the police, tried to pinpoint exactly where the husband was at the time. So.
Okay. Did you, once you talked to the police, was that then the end of your involvement, or did you continue to work with the police until her husband had been located?
Once her husband arrived, I gave a witness statement, and then I went home and told the story to my wife.
Okay. How long were you waiting around until her husband had been located and he arrived at the hospital?
He was probably there within 10 minutes or so.
Oh, okay.
I'd known that once we got there, yeah, I would say about 10 minutes, because he was already looking for her by the time that the police found out exactly where we were. So I'm sure probably 10 minutes was tops.
Okay. You're it.
No, I'm just happy she's doing okay. She looks a lot better than she did that day. Yeah, I'm glad this happened to me, and I know it sounds a little morbid, but you know, it changed my life in a big way, and I couldn't be more thankful for the impact it's had on me. But yeah, I'm just it kind of sucks it had to happen this way, but definitely changed my mindset a little bit.
And what impact did it have?
I wasn't a man of faith at all, and that kind of brought it up. Kind of made me realize there's something bigger than myself out there. Also, I don't know. I quit smoking. You know, I think that was, you know, and doing it for my son, realizing that you can be gone in an instant. I've been in the in the infantry lifestyle for so long. You kind of lose that. You kind of lose that the sense of what life really is. I guess, you know, like the big picture overall. You get so focused in your job. You forget that there's bigger and grander things out there, and it just really made me appreciate them a lot more.